So just like yesterday, today we're going to see kind of similar areas of Nebraska, portions of Minnesota and the Midwest, and then down into the plains of this severe threat. Now yesterday we did have an enhanced threat, and as you saw we had multiple tornadoes occur up near Minnesota and parts of Nebraska. So a lot of those areas were actually in slight threat regions. So anytime you see a slight threat, you definitely need to take that seriously because we had these huge tornadoes going through, very photogenic ones, and there's kind of plowing through fields and stuff and forming ditches along the side of the road just because of how powerful the wind speeds were on those. So it's never a good chance, or it's never a good mindset to really go and really kind of place your bets that it's not going to happen to you, because it really can. And especially on slight days, people don't take it seriously because it's not in the top 3 of the severity index. But looking at it, it's definitely something that we have to focus on and look at, is because those are going to be our areas that of highest threat. It's not that they aren't going to be of highest threat. It's just of the average of 3 storm modes. So if a tornado threat is high but wind and hail is low, you might get a different outcome with that. So that's something we all need to be watching. So temperature-wise today, it's going to be very nice across the entire nation. We're looking at temperatures of the hottest of about 100 in the portions of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, and even up into Oklahoma and Kansas. The coldest temperatures are really looking about up there in that northwest corner, up there with some of that elevation. We can see some cooler temperatures of roughly 50 up there. So those are your 2 weather extremes, but the rest of the country you're sticking right about average, so maybe a tiny bit above average with the summer heat. So the afternoon hours, we're already kicking things off, and you can kind of see that invest that's already spinning out over the eastern coast. We're just going to kind of ignore that for right now just because of where the severe threats are today. But looking at the Midwest, you can already tell it's going to be a powerful system. A lot of heavy rainfall, so it's going to be potential for flooding, and then some hail will be involved with that because with those big systems, there's almost always hail. Then we do see the beginnings of some pop-ups across some of the plains portions, and we're going to see this in the night scan, what happens over dinner time. It's always interesting to see what happens really between that 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. time. A lot of stuff can occur from 4 p.m. to 5 that develops and travels throughout the dinner hours. So you can kind of see we've already skipped ahead, and you see this bowing segment occurring in the Midwest, and that's going to be a squall line. That is actually one of the most commonly seen storm modes in the Midwest, is these squall lines, these bowing segments. If you've ever been to the Midwest, you know their squall lines are to the top-notch extreme because they have tons of damaging winds along the line of them. And a lot of times you can have some occasional spin-ups, some gustnadoes along the line, and other things. So definitely be watching out for damaging winds today out in front of that. And obviously hail is a threat with that because it was earlier. But you can kind of see this actually outlined. We see over Oklahoma and Kansas the supercells. Now, this bigger supercell looks like it was 2 at one point that had formed and then quickly molded together and to create one bigger cell. Obviously, there could be a tornadic threat with that, but hail and tons of rainfall is probably going to be mostly expected. But looking back up towards Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska, where that third area was at, we are seeing some individual supercells pop up, which means that they're going to be kind of a longer-lived short system, you can almost say. So the system isn't going to be lasting very long, but the individual cells will last longer. So as we see these develop, we're going to see them develop and be traveling, and they will eventually die out, obviously, overnight. But we're seeing the same types of supercells with these very photogenic lines that we've been seeing over the last few weeks. It's almost like this is the beginning of May, and we're seeing a lot of supercell activity in areas where they didn't get it back in the real tornado season. So looking at this now, definitely be watching out for these supercells, especially over parts of Oklahoma and Kansas, but I would keep an eye out for Nebraska because recently they've had a lot of severe weather. And then just kind of going back over some stuff, watch out for the damaging wind line along the Midwest area because it will be severe damaging winds, hail can be expected, and even a potential spin-up. So thank you so much for listening to this forecast for today. We hope to see you back tomorrow for Friday's forecast.